Welcome to a new episode of the Guru's Perspective. And today I'll be talking about the semifinal updates. And I'm about to get ahead and tell you about what's going on. It's been pretty interesting. What surprised me for the most part this season, especially the best two teams in the East are in trouble. They're in a 3-1 hole, and I think both of them are going to be going home after this series. It's going to be a close one. One team might survive and they might, get a respected like 4-2, but I don't think it's going to happen. The way things are going right now, we don't really know what's going to happen with Donovan Mitchell tonight. I believe he's injured and they're saying he's a game time decision. And I know Jason Tatum's going to be out. And the way he walked off the court, I don't think that he'll be back playing with the Boston Celtics until sometime next season. I don't know how long his rehab's going to be or how severe the injury is. We haven't really heard much, but it's not looking good right now. So I'm definitely believing both of those teams will be eliminated. And the Minnesota Timberwolves right now, they're up 3-1. And it's unfortunate because, Steph Curry can't stay healthy right now. Unfortunately, I believe, and I'm not trying to, even, put that type of pressure on Steph Curry. I just believe after playing a game 7 and then going right into that series, that's one of the reasons he's injured and he's out right now. So, prayers up to both players, well, all three players. Because I still don't know what's going on with Donovan Mitchell and what he's going to be doing and if he's even going to play tonight. But then you got to look at the Jason Tatum situation. I didn't really think that they were going to win anyway. They had a chance last night, but when he got injured, I thought that was it. And then, the whole situation with Donovan Mitchell, I hope everything is well. We definitely love the game and the competitiveness, but we definitely want those guys to be healthy and safe for their families. So I definitely hope for a speedy recovery for everyone who's injured and just basically looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Donovan Mitchell tonight. Okay. I want to get off into the games now and I want to talk about what happened because it was pretty interesting. I want to start off with Sunday. What surprised me was the game just really got out of hand and it was over with early when I seen the game because it was really to the point where I said, okay, let's see what Cleveland got. Cleveland got to show me something to believe that they're going to still compete and be in the contest. At some point, it was like by halftime, they were down big. I know they were down by at least 43 points. And it got to the point where the game wasn't even fun to watch anymore. You could tell they took their foot off the gas because at the end, the final score was 129 to 109 because they really could have got nasty with that game. And I just believe it was more sportsmanship that they set out a lot of guys. That it was a really bad game, and it was like a vicious blowout when Tyrese Halliburton only scored 11 points. And, it was just really crazy. It was a scene that I never thought that I would see when you definitely have two teams like the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers that look like they were going to meet up in the Eastern Conference Final, and whoever decided that may possibly be going on and winning an NBA title respectively. But you can't do that. It's matchup problems, it's adversity. You had three guys on the Cavalier side. DeAndre Hunter was injured, and then you had Evan Mosley. And if I'm not mistaken, Darius Garland was injured at one point. So now, when you put that in there in a perspective, and then you look up and then you see what happened with Boston with Jason Tatum and his injury. And those guys are still limping in the playoffs because you had a lot of injuries the whole season. And one of the main concerns was Kristaps Porzingis and his injuries, but they had a lot of injuries going amongst the way too. And I believe the team that wins is usually the healthiest team. Boston understand that from last season. Not trying to take anything from them with the championship that they accomplished, but it was a lot of injuries that helped lead to that as well. So that being said, the game with the Pacers was actually interesting. I looked at that game and I said, okay, I was really surprised that it was a really bad blowout like it was. But one of the additions, Pascal Siakam, was one of the impactful players. Him and Miles Turner had like 20 points. But it was just a really good effort on part of, just Indiana in general which going to really be interesting now that I'm thinking about it. And like I said, you can't really count out a team until it's over with. But these 3-1 teams in the East with their injuries, I definitely think that it's done. I want to see what's going to happen with the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers now. Obi Toppin's former team. He's been playing well, and he had contributed 20 points in the last game, too, of that really like crazy blowout. I definitely think there's going to be some heat there and there's going to be some competition. And I know Obi Toppin is going to say, hey, man, I belong. And I know he's going to show them that he belongs. So I really want to see that series and what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting because I'm really shocked that it's not Boston and Cleveland. But hey, you can't punch people ticket. You know, you got to play to win the game. I learned that from the great Herm Edwards. So moving on, I want to get into the slate of games that happened prior to that game. It was pretty interesting because when I seen these games go on now, it's going to be interesting to the point where I'm looking now with the last game that happened with on Monday, the Boston Celtics and the Knicks and the Timberwolves and Warriors. I already kind of told you what the series is looking like right now. But like I said, when Jason Tatum got hurt, and on top of that, you know, he had a really big game too. He had 42 points, but Jalen Bronson has been an X factor right now. He's been like the, you know, main guy that they go to. And that's one thing I want to talk about too. I want to talk about the key players in every matchup. And I believe Jason Tatum is their guy, no matter what you say. I know Jalen Brown's a dog, and we all been saying that. But I believe this year Jason Tatum stepped up and he was their leader. And I believe him and Jalen Brown are the vocal leaders. At the end of the day, this injury is going to impact them more than I believe that it would if Jalen Brown was injured and was out for a while. But Jalen Bronson, you got to give credit where credit is due because they had a situation where they got all they can handle with the Detroit Pistons. They went on and, you know, won the series 4-2. But when you look at it too, we thought that they were going to be staggering into the series with Boston and Boston was going to be smelling blood and licking their chops and put it on them. I mean, there's a lot of questions over there with Boston. Just can't blame Joe Mazzulla and the coaching anymore because you can't lose two 20-point leads on your home court and expect to win. And then when you lose the series, they were even up for a second yesterday before they lost. So, yeah, man, it's just really crazy to see that they lost how they did, too. And it was just a sad situation when Jason Tatum went out. But that final score was 121-113. And I believe now New York's about to finish this series off in Boston. The Minnesota Timberwolves faces the Golden State Warriors. And I already told you guys Steph Curry was out. We need to see more Jimmy Buckets or Jimmy Playoff Butler and Buddy Hills. Just don't think that they can handle Anthony Edwards, no disrespect. And they have a big and Rudy Gobert, who a lot of people don't give credit to, me being one of them. But they've been really stepping up their game. You know, you got Nas Reed, and you got a really good team that's over there. Despite them letting Cat walk, I thought that it was a bad decision at first, but then I think it was best for the team. And I just basically feel like, look what they're doing now. Minnesota's really good, and I believe they want to go through Anthony Edwards as their guy. So I believe when you get to this point in the season and you see how clutch he's been playing, like I said, not taking anything from the Minnesota Timberwolves, it'd probably been a different story if Steph Curry was healthy. I don't really think by much. Anthony Edwards did okay in that game. He had 30 points. I can't say he did okay when he had 30 points and 5 rebounds, but the main guy was Julius Randle. He had 31 points. And Jaden McDaniels had 13 rebounds to go with that as well. Jonathan Kuminga was a surprise to me. He had 23 points. Kevon Looney, I don't think that he's a bad center, but I don't believe that he can handle the likes of Rudy Gobert. I'm not saying that he can, you know, take you off the dribble or do anything of that nature, but I definitely feel like when you look at this series, the X factor is Anthony Edwards, and he's the main person as far as the key player to the matchup. And nobody can deal with him. Let's just be flat out honest. It's unfortunate Steph's not in, but I thought Jimmy Butler would step up, or Buddy Hills or someone. I just don't think that they have what it takes now to, after this 3-1 hole, to even get another game. So I just want those series to be over with. When you look at the Boston Celtics series with an injured Jason Tatum, and then you turn around, not only do you have injured Jason Tatum, you have an injured Donovan Mitchell and an injured Steph Curry. I believe that those health issues going to cost all those teams. So if it's just a gentleman's sweep, I wouldn't be surprised. They're a little undermanned now, even though I believe Cleveland have more of a stronger bench and a stronger nucleus right now who will be able to take that on. But after going down so many games, I just don't see a comeback. I don't see none of the two teams making a comeback, and would really be shocked with the injuries they had that they'll be able to bounce back. Same thing with the Timberwolves. I believe those series are over. One of the better series right now, and they'll be playing Tuesday night at 9:30, is of course the OKC Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets got the experience on their side with Jokic, and when Jokic and Jamal Murray is playing and they're playing at a high level, they're hard to beat. OKC, on the other hand, has a really young team. They're a little inexperienced. They have some playoff, experience from last season. But when you got guys like Shai Gilgeous Alexander, and then now you have Chet Holmgren, you have Nimhart, and you just have a really good flat out team. I don't know. The William boys on the team are really phenomenal too. When you look at just the whole team, they're really ferocious on defense, and they can run a team out of the gym. Denver's is a little older, and they could get gas real fast. Let's be honest. But whenever you see Jokic and you see Jamal Murray playing at a high level and playing the way they have been, it's hard to beat those guys. When you look at it and it's said and done, I still believe right now, whoever wins this game between the Thunder and Denver Nuggets is going to go on and win the championship. But what I'm looking at is, I think the Thunder's going to win on their floor, and I believe eventually the Thunder's going to wrap up this series. It's unfortunate because the Pacers play the Cavaliers at home, but it might not matter. I believe Donovan Mitchell going to do everything in his will to try to play. He might not be able to, unfortunately. And if that's the case, it might be over with. So yeah, I'm gonna give a slight edge right now to the Indiana Pacers and the way they've been playing. They've been really playing good team ball. Guys you never heard of, like Nimhard, and just guys that you never really looked to be the guys, have been stepping up right now. And you still got Tyrese Halliburton. You still have Pascal Siakam too, and Obi Toppin's been playing exceptionally well. So I believe that those teams are going to advance. I want to talk about too what's going on with the NBA draft and the lottery last night. A lot of people were pissed. Unfortunately, I thought that it was rigged myself, but it was crazy what happened. You see the patterns now, and I'm starting to notice that when LeBron James left and went to the Heat, the Cavs got the number one overall draft pick. And we even gonna go deeper into that. When Chris Paul left the New Orleans Pelicans and went to the Clippers, guess who got the number one draft pick? The Pelicans got the number one overall draft pick. That was Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis leaves and go to the Los Angeles Lakers. Guess what? They got the number one overall draft pick once again, and they got Zion Williamson with that pick. And now you look and you see what happened with Luka Doncic going to LA. A lot of people was pissed talking about giving up their season tickets and don't want to go to the games anymore, and they were frustrated, which I understand. I definitely understand your pain. They felt like with a franchise player like Luka Doncic that you should have did what you could to keep him. I believe Mark Cuban would have kept him on the team. They felt like they did what was best for the team, and all of a sudden now, a lot of that steam's gonna disappear when you got the number one overall draft pick now with the Dallas Mavericks, which we all know is going to be Cooper Flag. In that draft order, I'm going to give you top 10 draft that materialized. The Dallas Mavericks get the number one overall draft pick. San Antonio Spurs get the number two overall draft pick. Number three is the Philadelphia 76ers, which I thought they were robbed, and I definitely thought they were going to get the number one overall draft pick. Charlotte Hornets come in at number four. Number five is the Utah Jazz. Six is the Washington Wizards. Seven is the New Orleans Pelicans. Eight is the Brooklyn Nets. Nine is the Toronto Raptors. And then 10 via the Phoenix Suns, the Houston Rockets. That's how the draft order is going to go with the top 10 teams. I want to move on now, and I want to talk about some of the things that's going to go on soon. The WNBA is back in season on Friday, and I wanted to talk about the key matchups that's going to happen. I'm looking at the three matchups right now with the Dream and the Mystics. I'm going to go with the Dream on this one right now, with the X factor being Brittany Griner going over there. I believe she'll have her feet under her now after playing and everything that she's been through in the past. Ryan Harris over there too, and I didn't think she was going to adjust well at first when she came to the WNBA, and she ended up being one of the better players once she got her feet under her. And with that being said, I'm going to definitely go with the edge being with the Atlanta Dream. I know Brittany Sykes is over, with the Washington Mystics, and they got a couple of good players over there too. I just felt bad for the injury from Moore, after being drafted. Georgia Moore haven't even played a game yet, and she's out for the rest of the season. But then I'm going to look off into. I just feel like with the experience of Ryan Howard and the addition of Brittany Griner, I believe they'll win that game, and I'm gonna take them by 3.5 points. The Lynx and the Wings. This is an interesting one because now you have a really good young team that's going to be over there in Dallas. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with Paige Buckets. But I'm looking at that, and then I like my girl Dejanay going to be over there too. I believe just from what they added is going to be good. And the Gumawale's already over there. Don't get it twisted. She could score in bunches. And Maddie Segrist, unfortunately, they let go of my girl. Well, we kind of figured Satu Sabali was going to be replaced with the emergence of Maddie Segrist. And I believe that that's going to be a really solid team. They're going to remind you of the Indiana Fever, and I still believe they'll get a couple more additions over to that team to help them out. But I don't believe they're not going to be like just trash. I think they're going to be a decent team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do over there. They're definitely going to elevate their game with the addition of Paige Beckers. But I'm still looking at Minnesota, man. The Minnesota Lynx did way better than what I expected. The championship went down to the wire. And with Lakeisha Collier being over there, I believe after losing, they're going to feel some kind of way. But I believe just in general, just because of the experience and what they have over there in Minnesota, I'm going to give Minnesota the edge, and I'm going to give them a 7.5 point favorite. Now, the Sparks and the Valkyrie, I look at this one by them being an expansion team. I don't really expect much for them anyway. I believe they're going to get beat up pretty bad this first season. They might surprise people. But still, when it comes down to it, I'm going to give the edge to the Sparks. Cameron Brink, before she was injured, they were 500, and then it kind of went downhill from there. But then you still got my homegirl, Bakia Jackson, with the addition of Kelsey Plum. And then you have Erica Hamby over there. It's just a really good team. And regardless of what their record showed last year, the Valkyrie is going to have a lot of growing pains this season. So I don't really expect much from them, but I would definitely take the 6.5 point favor as well with the Sparks. Just really excited on this year. I'm a huge Las Vegas Aces fan. And with the addition of my girl Jewel Lloyd, I think they're going to do a lot of damage. It's going to be some fun games. It's going to be crazy to see some of the other people on other teams like Satu Sabali being on the Phoenix the Connecticut Suns. Let me get that right. I'm thinking NBA, but it's going to be a really good season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen and what materialize in the WNBA. My co-host Ebuck, he's going to talk to you guys a little more too. I want him to give me more information so I can start advertising on the show soon. He's going to do an all WNBA show while the season's getting started as well. So stay tuned for that as well. I want to get off into now because I knew I was going to be on here really brief. I got a few things going on and some things I'm trying to work on. I got something new that's going to be coming to you guys soon on Sundays. I'm going to be talking strictly Lions talk with my brother, LeVar McGee, and I'll be letting you guys know a lot more about that and advertising and telling you more when we get everything situated. But now I want to talk about some of the favorite things that's going on right now in the baseball, and I'm going to give you some MLB player stats as well. I want to start off and I want to talk about some of the things that I like actually what's been going on in MLB. It was funny today because when I was putting some of my highlights up on TikTok, it's a guy named Random Person on TikTok, and he wasn't too happy with the fact that I put up a lot of highlights and I didn't put up his team, and he gave me a little heckling about that before. I like the Los Angeles Dodgers and what they did, and I'm not taking anything away from them. But when people say things, sometimes you just got to be careful when you're saying things. They didn't even play yesterday. So where am I going to get anything to say that they even played when they didn't play? Okay. I only get the highlights of the teams who play. If your team didn't play, I didn't put up highlights first and foremost. But then I want to say, I don't have any issues with them. And he thought that I was a San Diego Padres fan. None the least. I'm from Detroit, so why would I be cheering for the Padres? My team would have the second best overall record right now as we speak. I want to knock on wood. I don't want to jinx them, but there, why would you get upset because they didn't play yesterday, man? Come on, make it make sense. But regardless of the fact, I am glad, Random Person, that you are chiming in and you're noticing things like that. But one thing you didn't notice that they didn't play yesterday. But I appreciate all the love on TikTok and much love for them. And shouts out to the TikTok people who've been definitely giving me the love and support. I want to start off and say with the Orioles. I thought that they'll be playing a little bit better than what they were. I thought that they'll be more competitive as far as when it comes to the division, and looking like right now that the Yankees starting to run away with it. It's still not too many games up, and a lot of teams still have a chance because right now the Kansas City Royals are one of the teams that's looking up right now, and just in general in the AL, and of course my Detroit Lions, Tigers. I'm sorry about that correction. But on April the 19th, the Orioles had back-to-back home runs that led off the game. Two sets of back-to-back home runs off of different pitchers, and a player with multiple home runs off the bench. No other team in MLB history has accomplished all three of those single game features over an entire season, let alone in one game. The New York Mets starting pitchers have not allowed four or fewer runs in each of their first 29 games in the beginning of the season. It's the longest streak by a National League team to begin a season in a modern era since 1901. Let that sink in. Brandon Nemo and Jeff McNeil combined for following in the game that happened on April the 19th, of course, on the Mets win. They had 5 extra base hits, 12 RBIs, and 0 strikes. They are the first pair of lefties to combine for each of these marks in a game since Carl Zerminski and Fred Lynn of the Red Sox, June 18th, 1975. Eugenio Suarez of the Diamondbacks was slugging 411 this season, entering the Saturday game that they played. He's now slugging .564. No other MLB player in the modern era has raised his slugging percentage by 150 points in one day and 100 pitch attempts entering any day in baseball history. This is based on the player slugging percentage at the beginning and the end of a day. The next largest increase in the modern era was 142 points by Mike Cameron, who was slugging .473 entering play on May the 2nd, 2022, before hitting 4 home runs and ending the day with .615. Eugene Suarez, also of the Diamondbacks, is 3 home runs behind MLB leaders in that category entering that Saturday. He now leads MLB upright with 10. No one else in the MLB history has been that far behind in home run race entering and giving the day, and yet finished the day with the outright lead. One of my favorite players in the league right now, pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Skeens, has a career road ERA of 1.24. It is the lowest through the first 14 starts of any pitcher's career in MLB history since the ERA was tracked in 1912-1913. Augustine Ramirez of the Marlins is the second MLB player in modern era, rookie or not, to have .74 plus on base percentage, 5 plus extra base hits, and no strikeouts over the first 3 games of the season. The other player that had all those features was the great Barry Bonds in 2002. In a minor ERA, only MLB rookie had put up the following numbers over any 3 game span: 700 plus batting average, 1.400 slugging, 5 plus extra base hits, and 1 plus stolen base and 0 strikes. Of course, that's who I just said, the rookie Augustine Ramirez in his first 3 games. That lets you know that Augustine Ramirez is going to be one of those guys that you need to watch out for. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely keep looking out for him, even though I know with his team, with the Marlins, they're not really doing that good, and they're not really going to be a team to get advertised that much on TV. But I'll definitely find a way to start looking at more of their games. Jordan Becker of the Rockies is the second player in MLB history to have his first 5 homers of the season all come in a 2 game span. The others was Ty Cobb in 1925, May the 5th and 6th. Since the start of the 2024 season, there have been 2 instances of an MLB player having multiple extra base hits in the game or in a doubleheader. Both of those by Royals Salvador Perez on August the 26th, 2024 and April the 26th, 2025. He was the first player to accomplish that feature 2 years in a row since Willie Mays in 1960 and 1961. Pete Crow Armstrong so far this year with the Cubs, this was since April 24th, 2025, had 5 home runs, 10 stolen bases, and 15 extra base hits. He's the first player in MLB history to reach those marks before the end of April. The highest on base percentage by a player to hit eighth or later in a lineup in the first 10 games of the season in a live ball era since 1920, minimum 25 pitches attempt. In 1997, Sandy Alomar Jr., 1.739. 2025 is Carson Kelly from the Chicago Cubs. He has 1.538. 1942, Jim Tobin, 1.484. And 2025, Austin Wynn, 1.420. Through 25 games this season, the Cubs have hit 37 home runs. They have also notched 35 stolen bases. They're the first team in MLB history to have at least 35 of each through 25 games of a season. Reds won 22 by 22 points on that day, while the Cavaliers won by 21 points. The Thunder won by 51. The first time in ever that there has been both an MLB and NBA team in the game, that let alone two, each decided by 20 plus points on the same day, regular season or playoffs. I just threw a little bit of that in there just to let you know a little bit of stats as far as with the NBA as well. Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees, I'm a little biased on this one, y'all. Leads the AL by batting average, 4.27. He had 10 home runs and he was tied RBIs 32. And he's the only player in the designated hitter era since 1973 to lead the AL in all three Triple Crown categories entering May. Honestly, I definitely believe that he's going to go right back out there and win another MVP and have the best season that he had. I believe he's going to probably have a better season than last season when the stats come out. I don't know if he's going to have as many home runs, but he's definitely right now the MVP of the AL. And right now in the NL, I'm going to have to go with Shohei Ohtani once again. The last player to lead the AL in all three categories entering May was Minnesota's Bobby Darwin in 1972. He had 4.39 batting average, 5 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Jacob deGrom of the Rangers entered May the 2nd, 2025 with a sub 100 whip in 52.2%. 117 of 224 of his career starts. The only other pitcher with 100 plus games started and a sub one whip in at least 50% of their starts in the modern era since 1901 is Addie Josh with 51.4%. Another one I'm a little biased on. Forgive me. Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers is the only MLB pitcher to have 50 plus strikeouts, no more than one walk, and an ERA under one over a 6 star span since the ERA became official stat in both leagues in 1913. Go Tigers. The Dodgers are the only MLB team in the modern era to take a lead, then trail by 2 plus runs, then lead by 5 plus runs, then trail by 3 runs, then lead by 3 runs, all in one game. Current MLB ranks for the Dodgers basically let you know they can turn it on or off at any time. And that's why I still believe that they're the team to beat. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them go back in the World Series. Current MLB ranks of which I told you I feel like is going to be the NL MVP once again, Shohei Ohtani. He was tied for fourth in home runs with 11. Extra base hits tied 5 with 21. In total bases, 489. In RBI, he was tied 96 with 16. And the first time and any player has been in the top 5 in MLB in home runs, extra base hits, but outside of the top 10 with 90 RBIs at the end of the day in May or later since RBIs became official in 1920. New York Yankees, Jason Dominguez on May the 9th, 2025. He had home runs in 3 consecutive at-bats, home run from both sides of the plate with the grand slam. He's the only player in MLB history to do all of that in the same game. Dominguez did this, and he had a sacrifice fly between the homers, but that didn't count it as an official at bat. So that's the reason why I believe they gave him that monster stat. Over the last 5 games, the Royals' Bobby Witt Jr. has 10 hits, 8 RBIs, 6 extra base hits, 4 stolen bases, 2 home runs, and a walk-off victory. No other MLB player has done all of these over a 5-game span. And the Pirates, Paul Skeens, made his 15th career road start in St. Louis last week. He owns a 1.36 road ERA, the lowest ERA by MLB pitcher through his first 15 starts all time since ERA first tracked in both leagues in 1913. That's one of my favorite young pitchers right now, too. Of course, I love my Jack Flaherty and my Trick Skubal because I'm from Detroit. But yeah, it's been a lot of hot MLB baseball going on right now. When For anybody else who's interested, like I said before, I don't really talk too much about hockey, but it's been some interesting stuff over there with the games, and it's been a really good physical playoff right now. But if anything that you want me to display or talk about, you can definitely hit me up on some of my platforms, and I'm about to give them to you right now. You can catch me on all these platforms, and feel free to let me know if the likes and dislikes. I'll definitely let you know what I can do, and I do my best to make it work out. I'm Hoovy on Instagram, Sports Guru to you on Facebook. I'm Hugh.Lee6 on TikTok as well. TikTok, I put a lot of my reels and the things as far as highlights on there since I'm allowed to. On Hoovy, my Instagram page, that's WHOOVI, I normally put just what's going on with our brand, and I let people know what's going on with our podcast and, advertise our products over there from the Nighthawk Network. Facebook, I usually put late breaking scores, and then I put the breaking news and anything that's going on around the league of baseball, football, basketball, you name it. I try to give you the best news of my knowledge. And like I said, if you have any questions or things that you want me to talk about more, you can go to sportsguru2you@gmail.com. I'll be definitely welcome you with open arms and appreciate all the love and support from TikTok and all my social media networks as well. I would like to give a shout out to my boy Ruben, my boy Daryl, who've been helping me promote and push my page, my family and friends who be showing me love and support and subscribe to my YouTube page, and just everybody who chime in on the regular. Big ups the road. I want to give a shout out to my boy Coach V. Welcome to the network. Welcome to Evie Mux with us. And Joe, and everybody who chime in. I definitely love Ro, man, because she's always giving me hearts on my reels and stuff on, whether it's Instagram or whatever platform I'm on. She's always there giving us her support, and I would like to do the same. Thank you all, and thank you for all your love and support. I appreciate that. I would like to say stay tuned. We're going to have some more good stuff coming for you soon. And I know, too, I'm going to have to get with my boy Eric Buckner, the co-host to my Wednesday show, the Guru Sports Session. Yeah, because I know he's going to be doing something big for the WNBA this season. Once again, I would like to say peace, love you all, and hopefully I'll be having something good for you next week. Until next time.